Almost got kicked out of the Hilton Hotel by a Democrat bartender this past Saturday night. So I check in, I go sit down at the bar, and this white guy, I think his name was Morty or Morphe or something like that, was sitting at the bar, and I had a San Francisco 49ers hat on. I just left the game, and I was really, really happy about the Thursday night game. And we sitting down, we talking football, right? So these other three intoxicated white gentlemen walk up. They say, yeah, we 49, we from San Francisco. We down here for I guess they was doing some kind of marathon, some kind of half a marathon or something like that. And we started chopping it up. They was like, what's your name? I was like, my name is Chris. And he said, oh, my name is Chris too. And we started talking and we got into it. And, we started talking about, he said he was taking his master's, a second time he was going for a double master's. And I was like, you could get a double master's? I was like, hold up. I thought, when you get your master's, you already covered that level. So now you go to a doctor, but you could do a double master. So we chopped it up. We got on politics. We started talking about Trump. I told him why I was a Trump supporter and why I voted for Trump this time. And this bartender, a black lady, I wasn't feeling her energy when I first sat down anyway. So I don't know if something is going on with her at home. I don't know what's going on, but she wasn't that friendly when I first sat down at the bar. So she hearing us talk about Trump and, and Kamala Harris and yada, yada, yada. So she makes a comment and says, what did Trump do for us? And then she walks off. And all of us looked at each other and said, she's a Democrat. All of us said that at the same time. It was ironic. I mean, it was just right on time. It was like, man, she's a Democrat. But then she does the most hateful thing. And she goes and tells the security to put me out the hotel. I didn't see that coming. So next, we talk, and I'm like, let me get another drink, and and the guy next to me, he was like, don't ever piss off the bartender. I said, I'm minding my business. I'm talking to y'all. We never was talking to the bartender. She shouldn't have never even butted in. Like nobody was even talking to her, period. So, she spilled her whole car. So next we chopping it up. We still talking. So I noticed this young black security walked up, youngster. He had to be about 21, maybe 22. And he said, hey, bro, I'm going to need you to leave. I said, what you mean you don't need me to leave? So it's four white boys around me, though. White gentlemen. I'm sitting in a chair, and they all around me. We just talking. We having a dialect. We having conversation. And my mentor always told me to study the white man. They got the game. They're going to give you the game. All you got to do is listen. So I'm just listening. We talking, chopping up politics, different things about a master's and, what his family owns, agriculture and stuff like that. And he said, yeah, I'm going to need you to leave. I said, so you're not going to tell these white boys to leave? You just talking to me? He said, yeah, you the only one talking. I said, nah. I said, I'm the only one talking because you came over here to talk to me. So at this time, I'm telling him I'm not going nowhere. So I said, if you're not telling these white boys to leave, because they right here in front of your face, they right here next to me, we all talking. You had to come through them to get to me. So I don't know what the racist bartender told her, because it had to be, she had to not like Trump. It had to be, when you made that comment, what has Trump done for us? I'm thinking differently. Trump has done a few things for us that I can say and, and be real about it. But anyway, so next thing I know, here come a Hispanic security, and he with the rah-rah talking. Yeah, you got to leave. You got to leave. I said, make me leave. I said, if these white boys not leaving, I ain't leaving either. I just got a room here and I'm spending the night here. No, you're going to leave. If you're a man, act like a man. I looked at him. I said, listen, bro. I said, I don't know who you think you talking to, but I said, you're going to have to make me leave because I'm ready for you. And he looked at me and he was like, nah, I ain't ready for this. But all in the mixed time, it's a young lady, a Hispanic manager, standing and watching the whole thing. So I looked at her. I said, ma'am, can I talk to you? She said, sure. So I walked over to her And I said, is it because we talking politics? I said, who told them to come over here? That's what I had asked the security. I said, who told you who made a complaint about us being loud? I said, it's a table. Oh yeah, I forgot that part. I said, it's a table over there with 6 Asian people, loud as I don't know what. And he talking about I don't hear them. I said, man, if you don't get out of here with that, bro, they talking loud as hell. There's 6 Asians at a table, bro. And you ain't approached them and said nothing. I said, man, those white boys looked at me and said, it's the bartender who told them that. So as I'm talking to the Hispanic manager, she was super duper cool. And we talked for 2 minutes. I promise you, what she told me, it was already over. I high-fived her. She high-fived me back. And she said, this is exactly what she said. I said, is it the politics? She said, these are her exact words. She said, you know the world that we living in. I said, thank you. I said, I appreciate that. I said, you can, I said, if you want to, I told him, I said, call the police so we could document everything. I need to have a police report saying what was stated and what was happening to me. She said, what I can do for you. She said, I don't need to call the police. She said, you could call the police. I said, once I seen her demeanor and she wasn't taking no sides and she wasn't on no racial stuff and like that, I knew it wasn't her. So I was like, she was like, just, let me put your drink in a glass for you and just take it up to your room. I said, bet. She handled that so good. And then I figured out, and she looked over at the bar. So that let me know right there what was going on. Who put this in effect, right? So the white boys was like, bro, we writing a letter tomorrow. And I know they serious because the white folks don't play. If you piss them off, they ain't finna do no fighting. They ain't finna do no arguing. You gonna have a letter in your mail in 30 days with a discrimination lawsuit. But they said they was gonna write a letter because they was like all of us was talking when the Hispanic dude and the black dude came and said, yeah, you the ones talking. They said, no, all of us was talking. We all was talking. They said, matter of fact, he was already sitting here talking to this gentleman, and then we walked up and started talking to him. So they came to my defense, right? Like, I thought they were just going to tuck their tail and run and let me get through under the bus or whatever, but they didn't. They kept it G. So I told her, she said, write a letter. She said, write a letter and send it to me. She said, I'm going to have to go talk to her. And everybody knew she was wrong for that. You used your bias to try to get me kicked out the Hilton Hotel in Long Beach. I'm finna go so far with this, man, because that's straight discrimination. You discriminated against me because who I believe in and who I voted for, and we wasn't even talking to you. You butted in our business. We never acknowledged you in this particular conversation. You was only there to serve the drinks and sell us drinks. So I have to do something about this. So that's why I'm putting this out there. No, I'm not trying to say the Hilton is racist, but I don't know what you would call her. You know, maybe y'all could comment below and let me know what you would call a person like that just gets mad. I know Democrats, all my Democrat friends, anybody I talk to, they always get an attitude and call me out, try to call you out your name and all that. Don't too many people call me out my name once they see how big I am, and they don't even play with me like that because I really don't play like that. So they just stop being my friend, which I don't care if you don't want to be my friend because I voted for Trump. He was the best candidate in my eyes, period. So I voted for him. He did something for my culture, and he's continuing to do something. He did everything that he said he was going to do, and he done signed more executive orders to try to go into office than any president I have ever seen in my life. So, you know, it's go Trump on mines, and I think that particular Hilton has an evil bartender. Let's call her an evil bartender, because that's hateful to try to get me kicked out of the hotel just because I voted for Trump. Because you don't think that he did something for us. And that's your opinion. You don't have to think that. But if you was to do a little research and see what he's done, then you would understand what's going on. But if you're getting any value from this video, please like, follow, and subscribe. Like, follow, and subscribe. It don't cost 1 red cent to like, follow, and subscribe. If you can't subscribe, I understand. Just like the video. Everything I'm saying is truthful. I know you're getting my side of the story, but that's the only side of the story I can give you because that's what happened. So I appreciate you. Just like the video. It helps it go around in the YouTube atmosphere. People can like it, share it, comment on it, not like it, whatever. But I appreciate y'all for watching.